Right, I love that intro. Man, that took forever to find, but it's pretty good. Anyways, this is Scavenger Radio, SR for short. We're a new group, and we're going to basically be doing reviews on video games or anything survival related, really, as far as in the gaming world. We're going to probably lend and lean more towards the hardcore aspect to medium, but all things survival, anything video game with survivals at all, we're going to be all about that. But right now, I think we're going to talk about what our favorite games are on the market right now. We're actually not doing a review right now. You're just going to learn a little bit about us and what we're here to do. And most of our episodes are going to last anywhere from about, you know, 10 to 15 minutes long. And if people want longer ones, we'll make longer ones. It's not that big of a deal. But basically, I'm gonna think for a second. I think my favorite game on the market right now has got to be H1Z1. And I know everyone's gonna say that's overrated. It's not good. Well, it is. I like it because their marketing skills for that game is wonderful. It's not pay to win at all, and a lot of people mistook that. If you go read the Steam reviews, it says mixed reviews, and that's because people thought that you would be able to get airdrops in and whatnot, and just basically pay your way to the top. You can't. If you've ever spent the money to get an airdrop and you got it, that means you probably had to kill a whole bunch of people just to keep your stuff you bought. So, I mean, all I gotta have to do is like find a hunting rifle and find the dude who ordered an airdrop and take him out so it cancels it out. But yeah, it's not that pay to win in the end, in my opinion, and I like that their marketing strategy towards like the CS:GO crates and keys gone. That seems really really cool. But that's my favorite survival game on the marketplace right now. Games too much. What do you think your favorite game is? I probably should mention the other two people in the crew before I just start pointing this out. We have Games Too Much and Mookie with us. They're gonna be on the channel a lot. So back to you, Games Too Much.
Right now, I'm spending a lot of time on H1Z1, a lot of time on Unturned, and I'm a little bit ashamed to tell people, but I spent almost 2,000 hours on Infestation Survivor Stories. I know that's going to anger a lot of the gamers out there because of the bugs and such, but it was a pretty solid game. The zombies performed better than most of the games out. Even H1Z1, I could argue that the zombies are sluggish and slow and a little bit stupid compared to the ISS zombies. Um, the
That's
bugs were a little bit much to deal with. I have to give the gamers that. But H1Z1, I think I'll agree with you. H1Z1 is my favorite game right now. Unturned is a close second.
right. Uh, it wasn't ever the bugs as much for Infestation Survivor Stories as it was for me because on ISS or War Z, if you're old enough to remember that name, if you were in the game, I refer to that time as the Dark Ages because it was filled with hackers. Oh my god. It was so full of hackers. It was insane. You couldn't play the game at all. But anyways, if right now I have to agree with you, man. Um, ever since ever since it went back to $15, it has just been a great, much improving game as far as like um, when Hammerpoint Interactive got a hold of it. I believe is the name of the company who bought that out. They have took this what what had become just this pile of garbage that just spat on anyone who ever purchased this game, and turned it into something decent, playable, fun, and not excessively pay to win. They've still got to make their money some way, but still, it's a really good game. It runs excessively smooth. Wonderful gun mechanics in it. Pretty fun and quick pace survival game. More towards the PvP aspect. I would have appreciated it if they had came out with. I was harping for this a long time for PvE servers, and that's what sold me on H1Z1. But altogether, man, one of the better survival games you could buy as of now. It's got a horrible rap for all the hackers it had back in the day, and all the pretty rough game glitches that came out with it. But all in all, right now, and especially with their new release of what is the name of that one? I think it's
Romero's Aftermath. Yeah, Hammerpoint has pretty much stopped all production on ISS, the original. They flushed out the economy, the cash shop, and everything very well before they stopped working on it. So the only thing that you really spend US dollars on would be lockers and stuff like that. So I wouldn't call it pay to win anymore, but the production end of that game has pretty much stopped. Everything's moved on to Romero's Aftermath, which looks promising, but I haven't spent much time in it yet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, let's get Mookie in here. She's been quiet and nice and calm over there. So, Mookie, now that you've had a good minute to think about it, what do you think your favorite survival game on the market right now is?
Honestly, by far, it. I agree with you, both of you. H1Z1 is just it tops it all. I really thoroughly enjoy that game. I especially enjoy that they added the girls. Finally,
I wish that they would add some minorities into the game. I don't know what it is with survival games nowadays, but it just seems that they refuse to create anything than this perfect Aryan race white people. Like, it's
it
insane.
yeah, it's like they're scared to diversify.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But let's see. I guess we could talk about how we play in survival games. I personally, I used to be the world's worst bandit. Back in when Daisy mod first came out, I was in the first 150,000 people who started playing that game, and we back and then it was kind of more of like a role playing experience. You would get on and you would have fun and you would role play, and you were more concerned about your gear and losing stuff than people nowadays are. And then it just got more popular, and we ended up a lot of the older players became the people who would start up like the Bambi death camps or all the crazy things because we would get bored with the game. We would know how to kill people too easy. We would know how the game worked too easy, and it wasn't growing enough, so it just gave us nothing to do but to kill people in strange ways. And I think that kind of inspired a lot of the crazy YouTubers and stuff um, on on that game, and it's just been crazy. But as of now, lately, for the last few years, I've found myself more willing to assist other people, and even if I'm fully geared or not fully geared, I'll give. If I have two guns, I'll take the chance and give the person that I meet a gun to defend themselves with. But I'd say 7 out of 10 times I get shot in the face. But still, it to me, it's like even though I die and lose everything, it keeps the game more interesting than if I allow myself to get all the good gear. I've had all the good gear in all these games, and it's just there's nothing to do at that point other than shooting people in the face, and I'm just not one to just ruin somebody's day like that. I've ruined enough days in my days. So yeah, games too much. How do you go about surviving in any world such as that?
I am the scared guy that doesn't make friends with anybody. I live like I'm only gonna live once. I pretend that I put a $10 bill into my machine, and when I die, I don't get to play anymore unless I spend another $10. I grew up in the arcades, so I've kind of got that mentality on everything. Back in the day, actually, when Infestation was pay to win, and you could go and spend $30 and get a backpack and a gun and everything. I loved the adrenaline that that gave me because I knew if I got shot, I was going to be rager, hammer fisting my keyboard. And when the gunshot started flowing, I would feel like I was going to have a heart attack. My whole body would start shaking. I think adding the cash into that and that mentality really drew my gameplay. And now I just play like a vicious guy who only gets one life. That's pretty much my mentality. But I wanted to quickly go back to our last topic. We didn't give a shout out to Project Zomboid, and I feel that that game actually has a more flushed out survival system than even H1Z1 right now. They have diseases, sickness, every little thing in that game matters. The crafting system is vastly extensive. The environment changes around you. There's active seasons. Wildlife actually grows over top of buildings, and concrete begins to decay. So that's a pretty large leap for the survival games.
One of the most impressive things about that game, I have to say, is the fact that this is my first experience on Project Zomboid. I log in, I install the game, I log in, and I get on there and walk around. And this is back when it's single player only, so I walk around, I'll go into a house, I'll go to the cabinet, I find a dead rat, a rotting dead rat. I eat said rat, get very sad, become depressed, and die. 10 out of 10.
Ugh, dead rats, gross. Personally, my way of surviving in games is hide as much as possible. Avoid everyone, and if I happen to see somebody, maybe tell them I'm a girl, and if they don't like it, then shoot them in the face.
There we go. That's the best way to just
Plays the gender card immediately. Please don't hurt me.
Please don't hurt me. What's that behind you? No,
I'm not a little boy, I'm a girl, I'm a girl.
Oh, that's pretty priceless. That's one way to take care of the situation. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I tend towards the hero. I guess you're more the scavenger then. And Games Too Much is that guy who just really wants to make it out of the situation alive. So, I guess that's 3 different gameplays. We actually all need to get on and play something sometime. That would be really, really cool. But let's see. Let's get back on to topic. What else could we talk about? Essentially, the show, the way it's gonna go is, let me pull out this paper I've got written down here. All right. So what we'll do when we start doing the show is we'll start talking about the game at the beginning of the show. We'll list the game that we're going to talk about, and we're going to read the description that you would find in the Steam store or wherever you could purchase the game, and give you that basic information. And then what we'll do is we'll either have played the game that day or throughout our time, and give you our first impressions of the game. If we personally haven't played, sometimes we'll have somebody that we know or somebody that's a fan of the show come on and give us their first impressions of the game. And we'll ask them questions and do a little bit of interview. And something we're going to try to do different than most people do is that instead of telling you why we think you should buy a game, we're going to tell you why we think you shouldn't buy the game. Because I know that's what I want to know when when I'm out to buy a game. I want to know why I don't want this, because that's my money, and I don't want to just hear the grand things about it. I want to hear about all the hackers and all the glitches and all the crappy things that's going to ruin the fun. And then after that, we're going to talk about, surely because we like to complain, what we would change about the said game that we're talking about that day. For example, if it's I don't know, if it needs some Steam Workshop mod content or whatnot, we'll say that, hey, well, we think it could use this and it would be benefit from that. That's just pretty much pointless, but just for us to complain and say what we want out of the game. And then we'll give you an overall rating, and we have a pretty cool rating system. We thought about it. We wanted to do, instead of like 5 stars or whatnot, we wanted to do something like, we're going to give it a backpack rating. And then you're going to start with 5 backpacks, and then you're going to get a gold gold backpack to represent basically a star. So it'll be a 1 out of 5 rating system. And we'll also rate things that, the way it'll work is we'll rate the good things 1 out of 5, and then we'll rate the bad things 1 out of 5, and then we'll give you an overall rating system, and in the end rating would be such and such golden backpacks, because every survivor needs a swagged out golden backpack. And then after that, we'll give you the links in the shout out section. So we'll shout out to members of the community, and we'll shout out to anyone we feel like shouting out to. And then we'll provide you with links at the end of the video. And hopefully you'll enjoy everything we have to offer here. And I'm going to ask and see if Games Too Much or Mookie wants to say anything here in a second. But all I have to say is I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope you drop by, subscribe, and keep listening, because Survivor Radio... I'm losing all my words here. Oh my goodness. Survivor Radio is going to keep going. Whether or not you listen or not, we don't know. So we're just going to keep going and keep talking. But Mookie and Games Too Much, is there anything you guys want to add to this before we head out?
Well, I think, James, you're a little tired here because it was Scavenger Radio, remember?
Oh, yeah,
That's
Scavenger
okay.
Radio. It's
You're
6 o'clock. I
tired.
forgot
It's
to do that.
okay.
It's bad.
Well, basically, you guys both had your 2 cents about the infestation. Well, here's mine. Basically, it's a love-hate relationship with that game for me. I've spent money on the game. I decided to buy myself some cool gear, and it wasn't even a player that killed me and took my gear. It was the damn environment and glitches.
What
That
happened?
that angered me. Well, I decided to go into. I honestly cannot remember what the base was called. It was one of the ranger camps or whatever. And I walked in and I'm walking along and I see a zombie and I start killing it and next thing you know it disappears from in front of me. I'm like, what the hell?
That's
I
never a
walk a
good
couple
sign.
steps further. Next thing you know, I'm dead because the zombie appeared behind me and killed me.
Oh, that is excessively inconvenient. What all did you lose?
Well, I had just bought a brand new locker when they had the price up to $5 a locker. They've obviously increased it since then, but
Wow.
I also had a cash backpack, and I believe I had a cash gun.
That's rough. That is,
But I bet you never felt more alive than when you lost all that gear, right? The adrenaline must have been real.
I
must have
do.
been.
I really do agree with Games Too Much there. I was shaking by the end of it. Just you bastards.
Shaking with anger. You won't like the Mookie when she is angry. But yeah, I could definitely agree with that. That would, I would send in some very unhappy comments to the creators of that game and demand a refund that I would probably never receive. Actually, I don't know of anybody who has ever received a refund from ISS, but
Yeah, actually, funny thing about that, I went and sent a bug report to them, explaining to them exactly what happened and how much money I had lost, and they sent me a reply 8 months later
that's
saying,
just
sorry,
wow.
there is nothing we can do for you.
Oh my gosh! I wait 8 months to get my money back, and bleh.
Yep.
Well, is there anything else you want to add to this Game's Too Much? I can't believe what was I calling it? Survivor Radio? Scavenger Radio is what we are. CSR. So yeah, but I've been up for an excessive amount of time. So yeah, Game's Too Much. You have anything you want to add?
The only thing I can really think to add is I'm going to try to personally get some gameplay footage for all the stuff that we're going to be reviewing. That way we can give some first-person view of some of the things that we're talking about, some of the complaints that we're making. I think that's going to be hugely important, showing the players what bugs they might encounter.
And keep in mind that most of the things that we're going to be reviewing here are actually still in alpha and still in beta. But the thing is, nowadays with games, and survival games in particular, they seem to stay in alpha or in beta eternally. Sometimes they make part twos, and they're both still in alpha. For example, Infestation Survivor Stories. But yeah. Anyways, I think that we can just about wrap it up here.